Hello, and welcome to the most sensational, inspirational It's the Rebels show. Or at least it feels like they, considering every other episode we have a guest star. And this week it's Hondo in Brothers of the Broken Horn. In this episode, Ezra, for some reason, is feeling worthless and doubtful and is being treated like a cabin boy. So he gets a distress call from Vizago and decides to answer because he's a rebellious teenager. But it turns out Hondo's taken over Vizago's ship, and Ezra goes on an adventure with Hondo, finds out Hondo, in fact, cheated Vizago. Ezra rescues Vizago as part of his favor, which, as AV Club wonderfully points out, was a total missed opportunity as far as the favor. They could have done so many things with that. The fact that they sent something so small. Is that baby? Ezra gets the generator thingies that the Rebels were looking for, and the episode's over, and this episode was pretty lame. And I'm going to have a link to AV Club's review, one, because I just want to give them a shout, because they are such a wonderful review site, and two, I think they pretty much nailed the episode, which is that it wasn't terrible, it was the kind of and the only real thing of any entertainment in here. So, no. I mean, it was cute, I mean, there was fun adventure. I mean, there was some character things, I mean, I like the idea of Ezra, deciding to try something new, take a break, fun sense of it, and, it felt very teenager-ish, the idea of, I'm going to quit and I'm going to try this. Although, again, AV Club 1, I'm just going to put their review there because I feel like they say a lot of what I have to say. Yeah. The highlight of this episode for me was probably Chopper. When he pulled out the guns and he was shooting the droids, that's a fun, dirty moment. And it's honestly one of those moments that separates R2 from Chopper, is that R2's kind of playful, whereas Chopper's very mischievous and very much enjoys, causing people to suffer. Hondo was the scene stealer. I mean, Jim Cummings was clearly having a lot of fun and energy in this, and it clearly shows what happens when you get talented voice actors like Jim Cummings as opposed to people like Freddie Prinze Jr. who really aren't the best at voice acting. I'm serious, I just hear Fred from Scooby-Doo. And I thought he was used well. I mean, he's small time enough that it's like he's small time. I was bummed that when he talks about all the adventures on Clone Wars, because there was a Clone Wars arc involving him, Cad Bane, and Boba Fett that we did not get to see, but hopefully we will, because I want to see how Boba Fett steals the Slave One back. Again, Hondo, once very similar to Rex, is true to the character we saw from Rebels, and I do sort of like seeing how these characters have sort of moved on, their time is over, I mean, they aren't interfering with the story too much, but I don't know. At times I feel like this is more a sequel to Clone Wars than it is Rebels. But yeah, I mean, honestly, I think this episode suffered the same problem all Rebels episodes suffers. That it looks pretty and there is some beautiful artwork, but once the characters start talking, you just realize this is a children's show, isn't it? There was tons of cheesy dialogue. I mean, that whole opening was just horrendous. Just the way Hera talked to him, that was just such corny dialogue. I wanted to pull my hair out. And then there's, the Jabba the Hutt, character who is so annoying. And I feel really bad for James Hong, because I really like James Hong. He's a good voice actor, really talented, so the fact that he's being wasted as annoying comic relief is really depressing. I mean, it's not just the way James Hong is delivering, it's the design and the dialogue he's been given. He's not used well. I mean, he was used much better on Clone Wars. I mean, the character he was going to play on Clone Wars in the Unfinished arc was a much more entertaining character than for this season. And he lives to fight another day, which means we're probably going to bump into him at some point. Seriously, stop using the rejected concept art. I know you guys are pressed for time. I know that it's a lot easier just to take existing concept art than to just come up with something on your own. I understand that. There's like a lot of design phases. It's a lot easier. But here's the thing. It's rejecting concept art for a reason, because it's lame. And the actual versions we got are more interesting. Like, from Zeb to... Actually, Zeb's not that bad, but... Seriously, I mean, they reject it because it's lame. And same with the Fifth Brother. Like, the Fifth Brother's not interesting design because it's rejected concept art. I mean, Jedi Council's the theory that he's rejected because he's too scary. I think it's because... Just because, again, it's just not an interesting design. I mean, this isn't like the Mother Talzin concept art. Mother Talzin, it was based off unused concept art. That wasn't unused because it was lame. It was used because they just couldn't find any use for it. And that's... I mean, okay, you can use some concept art, but I feel like there's more... They're recycling more... Every time they bring in something new, it's more just... Here's some unused concept art as opposed to here's something I drew myself. And I know Filoni can draw stuff. He did some beautiful sketches for Clone Wars, which you can see a few online. So I know he has it in him. So I'm just bummed that he's just pulling from the thing I mean, a little bit's fine, but it's like excessive. I think the biggest downside this episode suffers from is that when Rebels is at its best when it's moving the main story forward. And I think part of the reason why is because the characters aren't that interesting. I mean, I think of a show like Gravity Falls, where there was a long time on Gravity Falls where there wasn't really a main story, nothing was advancing, but I didn't care because the characters were so likable that I just enjoyed spending time with them. On Rebels, like, half the characters are like looking at cardboard, like, especially Sabine, who... I know she's the demolitions expert, but she has, like, such a thin personality. Like, I don't care about Sabine. Like, I do not care about... I mean, some of these characters have kind of like Kanan, but... Again, I feel like that's more so the comics than the novel, and more so the comics. So, yeah, like, if it's... So, when we're doing nothing, it's like, I don't care. And I know Christian Harloff likes to say, oh... the filler episodes are okay because they come back. No. It shouldn't matter if it's filler or not. Just because an episode doesn't advance the main story doesn't mean that it's bad. Nor should we judge an say, yeah, that episode was kind of lame, but it came back and it wasn't pointless filler. I mean, Avatar The Last Airbender had some of the best episodes of Avatar The Last Airbender are the ones that did absolutely nothing to advance the main story. Like the Tales of Ba Sing Se. Completely character-driven, cut it out, but the characters are so lovable that you don't care that nothing's happening. And even Gravity Falls is that way, too. I mean, they had that really fun filler episode right before the finale of Season 2. Yeah. I think another problem this episode suffers is that, again, there was an idea, they're thinking like Star Wars fans, not like writers. Again, I feel like the pitch for this episode wasn't Ezra's trying to figure out who he is, so he decides to be a pirate for a bit. Wouldn't it be cool if Hondo showed up on Rebels? And that bothers me, because everything just seems so centered. I mean, anytime on Rebels, it always feels like it always becomes about the Clone Wars character, or the Rebels character. It's never, like, even the Kanan episode. Like, the Kanan episode did not feel like, okay, we're going to have Kanan, like, come to terms with what happened to his master by encountering clones. Wouldn't it be cool if we brought Rex into Rebels? Wouldn't it be cool if we had the clones and stormtroopers face off? And I'm not saying that's not fun and not cool, but again, like, that should be secondary. You should think about characters and story first, and then think, okay, what are ways that we can sort of develop our characters? Again, Avatar The Last Airbender was good at that. Anytime the Team Avatar came across something, it usually tested them as characters, and it usually developed them as characters, and it usually got somewhere. Here, Ezra and Zeb will be, like, fumbling around in a TIE fighter, and make peace at the end, and then, like, 2 episodes later, they're still arguing as if they hadn't learned anything. But yeah, because the whole Ezra figuring himself out was barely addressed. It was more just fun, wacky shenanigans with Hondo. And everything on this, like, the whole opening bit didn't go anywhere. It was just a contrived excuse to get Ezra to be with Hondo rather than to, actually. Sorry, I'm really tired. I blanked out. But seriously, I mean, the whole conflict of Ezra fixing the ship and suddenly hanging Rebels comes out of nowhere. But I'm sure the Rebels will get better. I mean, the next episode is Wings of the Master. It looks like we're finally going to get Hera's character fleshed out, although the clip has me worried because it seems like they're going to be having her character explained by her monologuing as opposed to action. I'm taking a screenwriting class right now, and you develop characters through action, and things are driven by circumstance, character, not circumstance. Breaking Bad and Steven Universe are both really good at that. But yeah, I really hope that the Hera's character doesn't get fleshed out by just her monologuing and explaining it, because that's just very poor writing. So that's pretty much all I have to say about Rebels. It's not terrible. I mean, it's fine as a children's show. It's somewhat charming as Star Wars, but I think of all the great shows. I mean, there was Genndy Tartakovsky's really exciting Clone Wars TV series. There was Clone Wars, which started out rocky, to be fair, but I mean, I can forgive that since it was a new team. Even Filoni admits we had no clue what the heck we were doing. But it got better, and it dealt with some very heavy, mature themes. And by the way, finished this yesterday. Love it. I mean, I'm going to do a vlog on the final stretch of it and the novel as a whole, but this is great writing. Seriously, Katie Lucas, please write more stuff. You're amazing. And, I mean, I know the show can't go full-on adult, but I mean, the point is that Clone Wars found its tone and voice, and it was a very smart, mature, well-written. Rebels, it's very clear that they've sort of set a limit for themselves. There's a box. Here's where we're going to go. We're not going to go here, and we're not going to go there. Clone Wars was such a flexible show when it started off that, again, it felt like it could go, it could go anywhere. I mean, it's amazing where Clone Wars started out as a show and where it ended up. Rebels, I feel like it's going to more or less stay what it is. It might get a little bit darker, but it's more or less just going to stay the same in sort of tone and where we're going. Although I do like this season how we're jumping around the galaxy a bit more. We're seeing few more locations, planet hopping, which I think part of it's due to the fact that they had a bit more time on Season 2, so they had a bit more time to design stuff, and also they have more locations designed now, so they have more places they can jump through, but so yeah, I like that, and I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm biased towards Hang Rebels, but I don't know. I mean, I've seen some great kid shows lately, like Gravity Falls, which I'm waiting on Weirdmageddon Part 2, and it cannot come fast enough. So that's all I have to say, and again, there's a link to the AV Club review, which read their stuff. They are really good. So, what did you think of the Hondo episode? Did you think it was fun? Did you think it was lame? Comment and let me know. And as always, like, dislike, comment, subscribe. And this is JStar60, and may the Force be with you. Until then, take care.